Hello, my dear friends. My name is Harold, and welcome to The Sanctum. In this video, I'd like to share with you a very powerful technique that you can do to ensure that you step out of people's worlds, especially if you're an empath and you interacted with somebody who you are trying to help. Maybe you're doing that professionally, or maybe you're just doing that as a good friend. You're attempting to help someone, and you've ended up stepping into their world, and now energetically and emotionally you've gotten so involved that this is draining your energy and is putting you down. It may not have been the other person's intention, nor was it maybe your own intention, but sometimes this happens, especially if you're very open and a receptive person and you have a big heart and you want to help someone, and you've stepped into somebody's world but you don't know how to step back into your world. So this technique can be used to help you step back into your own world, and this will prevent you from losing your energy and going down the rabbit hole into negativity and anxiety and depression and things like this that can come with helping many people and not stepping back into your own world. So this particular technique, an element of it comes from pranic healing and that particular tradition. And how I first started to use this technique is, let me tell you a story. Some of you might know that I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and that is my career, that is my profession. I have a website called sacredhypnosis.co.uk. Now, when I first started my career, in the early days, I saw a particular client came to see me. It was a young lady who was self-harming. And she had scars all over her arms. As soon as she walked into my office, I saw that she had tattooed her arms and gotten full sleeves all the way up to her hands and fingers to cover all the scars that were there on her hands and arms. So when we were speaking, I was getting very, because I consider myself an empath, and I do sometimes step into people's worlds. And and this was during the beginning of my career, so I had stepped into this person's world and got very emotionally involved and energetically involved to help this person. Because if you want to help somebody, especially as a therapist or a healer, you need to step into their world to be able to understand who they are and their problem. But you must always remember to step back into your own world. So I'd stepped into this person's world, and we had finished the session and all of that. It went well. And I went back home, and I remember that evening I was chopping onions, making my dinner, and suddenly I had this thought of very vivid thought of taking the knife and just starting to pull out my veins from my arms, and I just dropped the knife, and I was like, whoa. This isn't coming from me. This is not how I normally think. And immediately I realized that this particular thought was not coming from me, it was coming from somewhere else. It's because I had stepped into somebody else's world and I hadn't stepped out. And immediately I started to do this technique after every single session that I had with someone, or if I was helping a good friend of mine who was feeling depressed or sad, I would always use this technique to step back into my own world so I don't take that energy with me. Okay? So this is what you would need to do. Ever since I started doing this, I've never ever had a problem ever since. Touch wood. So what you need to do is simply imagine that there's a cord connected from your belly to the belly of that particular person, and that you're standing in a circle with that person inside, and you're also inside that person's circle. This circle represents their world, and there's another circle next to you that represents your world. In your head, you're going to imagine taking your hand and cutting the cord that's connecting you to this person. Don't worry, this won't affect the relationship with that person negatively or anything like that. You're just cutting the energetic cord that you have formed by stepping in to their world. And now you just have the intention that you're stepping out of their world back into your world, and you would physically actually step out of their world and then step into the circle that you're imagining is your world, and you would step back into that circle, and that is your world, and you step back into your world. So it seems very symbolic and very quick, but that's a very powerful message to your mind to say, that you're washing your hands, or that's another thing people like to do, is just wash their hands, and symbolically I just go as if they're letting go of that particular event. That's another thing you can do. You can even put these together. But what I like to do is imagine a cord, cut that cord, imagine stepping out of their world and stepping back into your world, and then letting it go. Ever since I started to do that, I've never ever had a problem with dwelling on something that I've worked on to the point in which it starts to affect me in a negative way or anything like that. So this is a very important technique if you're a therapist, a healer, a light worker, if you're working with, if you're a psychiatrist, even if you're a doctor, if you're working with people where there is a lot of emotional exchange and energetic exchange, this is very valuable. So let me know how you find this technique, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Peace.